So next team is the Houston Rockets.
Ooh, okay.
Unfortunately, they are losers. I really
Unfortunately.
picked them to win. I wanted them to win. They should have won.
I did
They're
too.
home. They're home for Game 7.
They shouldn't have lost game 2, or was it it was either game 1 or game 2. They shouldn't have lost.
It was one of those. But anyways, so I wrote down here. This one's tricky because because we kind of have an idea of what they should do, what they kind of need to do if they want to contend for real,
Yeah.
and that is trade for an all-star. Right, we knew that.
Yeah.
But then it's tricky because it's like, who are you going to trade, and are you going to give up some of your core young players for Kevin Durant? Like, part of me wants to keep this Houston Rockets team together and let them develop and grow together as a team and see what they can become when they're in their primes. And then part of me wants instant gratification and wants them to trade for Kevin Durant right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I feel
What do you
like
think?
the All-Star trade is easy because, you can pick up Fred VanVleet's team option, which I think they should decline. But if you want to add more to a Kevin Durant trade, Jalen Green goes, Fred VanVleet goes. And you would probably...
It's that easy?
Yeah, I think you start there. Okay. Men's off limits. Jabari Smith, same thing. Same thing with Şengün, Reed Shepherd. Probably throw in like a Cam Whitmore.
No.
What'd you say? Şengün's off limits?
No, Şengün and Amen Thompson should be the only untouchables on this roster.
Okay, I'm fine with moving Jabari Smith.
You have to move. Jalen Green is a must. And
Get him out, you're saying?
Yeah, as far as trade, Jalen Green is a must. Cam Whitmore is a must.
Jabari Smith.
And then decide between Jabari Smith, Reed Shepherd, whoever. Because it really depends on what team you're trading with and what they need. Because if you're trading with a team that needs a forward, you're not going to trade them Cam Whitmore. You're going to trade them Jabari Smith.
Jabari Smith, exactly.
But if you're trading with a team that needs a shooting guard, then here's Jalen Green, right for you.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Now, that's what they're probably going to do. But is that the right decision? I don't know.
For who?
For Houston.
To
trade their young assets away for a player like Kevin Durant.
Well, yeah.
Because
KD does not have a lot of time left, and you get rid of a Jabari Smith, Jalen Green, young guys that are just on the up and rise.
I think they should trade for Devin Booker.
Devin Booker, I like that better.
I think they should.
Okay.
However, Devin Booker is not notoriously known for getting it done when they need him to.
Neither is Kevin Durant.
Well, I mean, he has. That's the thing. Obviously not on his own. And that's where it really depends on what you're going to get from Şengün long term. Because the one thing the Rockets are missing is a closer. And that's something Kevin Durant is very good at.
Right.
That's not necessarily something that Devin Booker is good at. He can. He just doesn't do it as consistently as Kevin.
Right.
And that's really the main issue, is because they really just need a two guard. So then what do you do from there? Do you give Reed Shepherd the minutes? Do you give whoever's left the minutes? Like I said, they also could just say, screw that, and let's say they move up to the top 4 in the lottery and VJ Edgecombe's available. I don't see why not. You take him, give him an opportunity, because he's NBA ready.
Yeah, man. There's a lot the Rockets can do. They have a lot of options, and I'm just curious to see what the GM actually does.
I think it's going to wind up being KD.
KD.
Purely for the relationship with Ime Udoka.
Okay.
Because he was the assistant in Brooklyn. I believe he also was the assistant coach on Team USA in the 2021 Olympics. I think it was one of those 2 years. That was when he got hired by Boston. So,
yeah, we'll see, man.
Do you have a preference on what Houston does?
You know what? My gut is telling me, and my gut has been wrong recently a lot, but my gut is telling me be patient if you're the GM. Be patient. Let these young players play it out. And don't worry about getting an older player like Kevin Durant right now. Let these young players do their thing. Let them grow together. It seems like they have a sense of camaraderie with each other. So my gut's saying let them play together and
Yeah, I
grow.
don't see anything wrong with that either. Yeah. But I think you should definitely add more to the bench. Steve Adams is a free agent. You should resign him back.
Oh, for sure.
You can afford him.
They could just bring in some other pieces, look for the development of the younger guys.
Yeah, because I think the pressure is for GMs. If they don't make a move, they're fired. They're out of there.
Yeah.
Right. But then there's also good GMs also have patience. You need to have patience with the players that you have, and you need to have trust with the players that you have, and also the coaches and the training staff that you have to prepare those players and take them to the next level. So
Okay.
there's a balance, and I hope the Rockets GM has that.
And that's the thing. You need to find the balance because you don't want to do a Sacramento where you don't want to do nothing. You have to make some sort of move. And I think right now, I don't think Jalen Green's value is going to get any higher than it is right now.
Yeah.
I think he needs to go this offseason.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think if he's on the roster starting next season, unless you don't fleece the fuck out of a team, then it's a failure.
Okay.
All right.
Fair
because
point.
we saw it. We have a 7-game sample size. He had one good game.
You're right. You're right about that.
And if you're going to be a top, we didn't include him in our X factors because he's a top 2 option on the team.
Yeah.
He didn't show up.
No.
You got outplayed by pretty much the entire roster. And that just is unacceptable. And you know what? That's just the unfortunate reality of the NBA. The playoffs exposes everything, whether it's good or bad.
So I think the biggest glaring need just watching, of course, this series is that, Cade needs a second star. And, we've thrown out Zion. KD doesn't look likely. Who else could be on the trade market? Booker.
Zion.
I said Zion.
Oh, he said not Zion. Giannis.
Giannis, Booker. Any of those guys, I think they need more oomph. Their free agency class is they're 3 main guys they need to resign: Malik Beasley, THJ, and Schroeder. Those are all free agents that had massive impact for them playoff time. Beasley, of course, and THJ were more in the regular season. Schroeder more in the postseason. Those are great vets to keep around. They need to resign those guys. Those are just moves they could make besides complimenting him with a second star. So a big trade needs to, happen for them. I don't think they can sign anybody that will benefit them right away. I would love to see them roll with Cade and Duren and Asar and Tobias. I think Jaden Ivey is the odd man out in a trade, most likely. I think Asar, Cade, Duren, and Tobias would be all untouchable unless they're getting big men in return. So I would definitely think Ivy and Picks and maybe some other young guys off the bench would be the casualties.
Okay. Can I offer an option?
Yeah.
Because there is a certain man over in Boston that is on an expiring contract next year and stands at a whopping 7'3" that can shoot the outside shot. I think maybe Kristaps Porzingis should be a name Detroit looks at. I think he fits right into that defense, or not defense, that offensive scheme that Bickerstaff runs. I think that's the one issue with Duren, the fact that he's a decent rim protector. He cannot anchor a defense, but he might suit more of that role than Duren because I feel like Isaiah Stewart's just too much of an enforcer to get rid of. Notice how in the series against the Knicks, Cat was on fire from games 2 through 5. Didn't really have a good game 6, but game 1, Isaiah Stewart had him in hell. Duren couldn't do that. And, it's just unfortunate the way that transpired, but Kristaps Porzingis seems like the best sort of tradable option as of right now because we know Detroit has cap space. They don't like signing players, so they're going to wind up trading for guys. And I think that's probably what they should do. What are your thoughts, Gio?
I'm thinking, where would you put Porzingis in terms of, because I remember you saying when JB Bickerstaff was with the Cavs, he had that one guy on the dunker spot, and then he had one guy in the interior.
He played Duren's role. Duren would probably have to get traded in the process.
So Duren would be out of there.
Yeah.
Porzingis would take his spot. Then he would start Isaiah Stewart, you're saying?
So basically, when the Pistons were healthy in Game 1, Isaiah Stewart started, if I'm not mistaken.
Did he?
I think so. Basically, if you rolled out a lineup of Cade Cunningham, let's say Ivy's there or whatever shooting guard, you run Asar at your 3, Isaiah Stewart at the 4, and Porzingis at the 5.
Okay.
I think that's a really good lineup to be.
And then on offense, Porzingis is spacing the floor, of course. Stewart's on the interior.
You have Stewart on the interior. You have Stewart could also shoot a little bit. So you both have him in the interior. You have Asar in the dunker spot. Cade's obviously on ball. Ivy can do the same, but he'll be up there as well. And then off the bench, you have shooters.
Right.
You have Malik Beasley. If you bring back Tim Hardaway,
right.
If you bring back Dennis Schroeder, if you can sign pretty much really anyone you want to for cheap in the offseason that's going to be able to shoot the 3 ball at a high clip.
Okay, now to me, Porzingis seems like more of a role player at this point in his career. I don't know if he's a star player to take some of the load off of Cade Cunningham. What do you think about that?
Well, I mean, let me put it this way. He's on an all-time great team right now. Doesn't have to do as much. But we saw in the remember game one Porzingis in the finals?
Yeah.
Bro, if we see that as like, because I don't think he would be necessarily a top 2 option on that team, but he's like a primo third option. Because if Cade and Ivy are the ones kind of doing their thing up top, because Ivy's a pure bucket getter. We saw the leap he made until he got hurt.
Right.
That he looked very promising. And I think you actually can make a trade with the Celtics without giving him up. It may have to cost you either Stewart or Duran, depending on what happens. But I think it's definitely possible that Porzingis could work as that third offensive option and works as a somewhat of a decent rim protector. He's not as good as Isaiah Stewart on defense, but he'll be good enough that Isaiah Stewart will essentially play the Rudy Gobert role that you can hide Porzingis, if that makes any sense.
Okay. Yeah, I'm okay with that.
Because I think that's really what they need.
Yeah.
Oh, I totally forgot. Tobias Harris is on the team. He would probably
He's there.
start at the 4. My fault.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. I didn't know Isaiah Stewart started.
Yeah, no, he came off the bench. That's my fault. I totally forgot about Tobias Harris. I keep thinking he's on the Sixers. So Tobias Harris at the 4 would essentially also be spacing the floor, and you have Porzingis can do both, whether it's interior or on the 3-point line.
Right. Okay.
So yeah,
Very spacey team.
that's what you need in today's NBA, man.
You do.
Because we saw when they went on that 28-game losing streak last year, Cade had nothing. He was just getting clogged in the paint.
Yeah.
And that's why they couldn't get any offense generated.